Welcome to the Sustainable Success Show, where we share real-world ideas, strategies, and systems to help you build success that lasts in business and life. Each episode delivers practical insights you can apply immediately without burnout, chaos, or short-term fixes that don't scale. At the foundation is emotional intelligence and effective communication, how you lead yourself and how you connect with others across personalities, generations, and cultures, because that's where trust, engagement, and performance are created. I'm Christopher Salem, your host, and this is where sustainable success becomes your competitive advantage. Welcome to Sustainable Success. I'm your host, Chris Salem. Hope everyone is having a great week. I am so excited to let everybody know that, again, thanks to you, new listeners, we are continuing to make strides on our YouTube channel at Christopher R. Salem. That's where we host now our video show, which we just started back in January of this year. We had been an audio-based show since May of 2017 for almost 9 years now. And again, we want to thank our existing listeners that have been loyal to us for all this time. Again, if there is any content that you would like to hear on a future show, feel free to reach out to our team here at chris@sustainablesuccess.net. That's chris@sustainablesuccess.net. Again, you could also listen to our show anytime by subscribing to our Apple, YouTube, as well as Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeart. So any of those areas that you would like to listen to the show, whether if it's audio-based or visual, those are the areas that you could go ahead and do that. And we encourage you to share that with the other people that can find value in terms of where they can get new ideas about business and helping moving you in your business to the next level. And any testimonials that you could provide also help us out as well. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program. Taking out all the noise out of social media, you get to generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about human dimensions in business. So we're going to be talking to our subject matter expert today, Quinn Cashion. And Quinn is a therapeutic coach, author, and speaker working at the intersection of modern mental health, spirituality, and actual lived experience. She explores a new era of well-being that bridges psychology with inner awareness, helping people understand how the mind really works beyond symptom-based thinking. Her work supports clients to improve the quality of their relationships, navigate conflict with greater calm and clarity, and respond to life's challenges with more inner steadiness and self-trust. And without further ado, we welcome Quinn Cashion to the show. Quinn, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Chris. Good to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you here. Thank you for being here. And so, Quinn, we always like to talk, start off the show to get kind of the backstory about what you're going to be talking today about human dimensions in business and what led you up to this point with everything you've done in your work on the, from a therapeutic side and how you're now bringing this in to the business world and helping, individuals and leaders to really see the human dimension side of business.
Great question. My background actually started in teaching. I was always an educator in some level and love sharing how the mind works and how it creates the human experience. So a lot of my work has been in vocational counseling. And so getting people ready to go out and job search, to network, to be able to show up with greater confidence, land that interview. So it's all there. And we could be really great with our skills and our experience. But if behind the scenes, I'm a nervous wreck, that's what's going to come through in that interview. And so it's really important to be able to figure out, how do I ground myself in who I am and be able to just show up and deliver that.
Wow, fabulous. Well, we are looking forward to, hearing today. We encourage listeners again to, not only when you're hearing the show, go back and listen again and also share this episode with others, because, the mental side, the human dimension side of business and taking into account the mental part of what we do each and every day in our businesses or in our careers is so important, especially if we're looking for more sustainability and, in the areas that we're looking to make improvements. So let's talk about, the human dimensions in business and what that framework looks like. And, why is it going to be so important in the world we are today moving forward?
Mm. Today is like the most important time of our lives. We are, so much stress, so much going on in our world. And so more we go inwards, the more we can ground, the better off we are. And leaders, they got a lot of balls in the air and they have a lot of fires to put out. They got a lot going on. So how do they stay more centered so that they can really deliver? And there's one person that I was on a board of directors with on a global organization, and he ran a $6 billion business. And he was the most grounded human being I have ever met. And yet he was leading this huge company. And so that just showed me what is possible for every human being, regardless of if you are a mother and working in the 9 to 5, or you're leading a large organization with hundreds of staff. It all comes back down to our state of mind in the moment. Because what happens is we have a tendency to live in the past and the worries and what didn't work yesterday, and then we're in our imagination of what's possible tomorrow and what challenges I might face, and yet all we have is this present moment. So how do we show up to that?
So yeah, let's talk about the present moment, because that's oftentimes a hard thing. People hear it, and then they realize that, oh my God, I am not operating in the present moment. I mean, matter of fact, I'm probably in the past and the future. And why am I feeling stress, anxiety, frustration, overwhelmness, and all those are signs that we are not in the moment.
Yeah. And all of those emotions that you just shared is data. It's information. It is letting us know that our operating system, psychological operating system, is off track. And so that's what I teach everyone is I go beyond mindset, because mindset keeps us in the cognitive brain. It keeps us in negative or positive thinking. And we want to get behind that. The operating system behind that is the human spirit. And it is grounded. It is wise. It has insights. It knows how to, it's kind of like looking at like a Wayne Gretzky, he filled his brain with a lot of information on how to play the game. But when he's on the ice, he goes on autopilot, and he goes back into the wisdom that he has as a athlete to tap into when he's working and on the ice. So we want to do that more often, even in the boardroom, so that we can, or with a child who might be acting out, because you've got a lot going on at work, you come home, your children are not behaving well. And so we just keep escalating, and we have this thinking that it's happening from outside of us. Yeah. That's making me feel this way. That's because of that person, because of this situation. So we pivot and live life from the inside out. Then we take our power back.
Yeah, so true. So true. I love that. What would you share with those listening right now, whether again, it doesn't matter if it's a female leader or a male leader, or at any, it could be any stage of their careers or age range, it does not matter. And right now they're just not taking, that they're just operating in the problem. They're just kind of reacting to whatever happens around them. Where's that human dimension come in, and where can they now either do something for themselves to be the example and be a resource so they can be more proactive in their approaches to business?
Great question. So I see life going on out here, right? Life is just happening. We have zero control over what's happening out here. Then it comes into our system, right? We have our perspective on what's happening out here, right? It comes into our system, and then that's where we start creating these emotions. And when we live outside in, we think it's that's creating that. And then what happens on this side, we either go into ease or dis-ease. So if we go into ease, we're into flow, we're into possibilities, right? We see a problem, but we only look for solutions. Okay, what are my solutions to solve that? When I go into dis-ease, discomfort, I go into doubt. I go into, why is this happening? I try to control things, and so we get really narrowed in on our thinking when we go into that area of dis-ease. And so that is where we react. That's where the reaction comes from. But when we go into the ease, to the flow, we are responding to everything. So I might come in where I'm getting angry or I'm getting upset or overwhelmed, but the quicker I move through that energy into an ease state, into a response state, the better off you are and everybody else around you.
We hope everybody's taking notes because this is really, really valuable insight. And I think it's so important, especially long term when we talk about business, and this is what this show's about: sustainable, right? Sustainable success. Doesn't mean everything goes perfect, doesn't mean everything goes right. You're going to have your ups and downs, but it's knowing how to respond from that, not react, and how to see the light in, when things are dark, so to speak, and how to use that to come out ahead. If somebody's now, again, they're hearing all this, what would be the first, is there any first steps that you would recommend when, in terms of like what could start heading, leading, steering them in the right direction here?
Yeah, I've got quite a few, but to keep it simple, because it's really about not complicating things, in mental health, in mental strategies, it's all about techniques and strategies. And I'm not offering that today. I'm offering just the understanding that behind that is the operating system that you operate from. So any technique or strategy that you take on starts with a thought. I have a thought that I'm going to do that. You have to take a thought to take a deep breath. Like, how many of us are not taking big belly breaths throughout the day? And I have to have a thought about that for me to actually really take that in. And so we're always using thought every second of the day. And so what we want to know is to notice it, not change it, because it's like the waves, in the ocean. It's like the waves are coming in. If they're intense, they're intense. But if I can let them flow through, then it's a gift, right? So if it's anger, let's say it's a huge tsunami of anger coming in, I'm going to let that move through. It's like, okay, what is it wanting to tell me? So again, those emotions are a gift in the sense that it gives you information to going, okay, so I'm really upset about that. What do I need? And so that's where wisdom comes in. Leadership without wisdom is chaos. And so we want to get out of that chaos state. And so figuring out how to do that starts with recognizing that thought is creating the human experience.
Yeah, so true. And that human experience is so, and that's what also, I guess in itself, if we look at some of the major challenges in business, you have retention issues. Of course, you have burnout issues. And if we're going to, if we don't apply those human, dimension to this, people are not going to feel psychologically safe. And what they may do is they may not say things. They may not use their EAP programs. They may now all of a sudden they were here one day and now they're checked out because they burned out and they had to take a significant amount of time off, or we lost them. They ended up leaving, going somewhere else. What happened? So all of these things are challenges that what you're sharing can, absolutely, we could help offset and counteract if we're better prepared with what you're sharing here today.
Such a great point. The economic the economics of mental health is at $6 trillion. $6 trillion. And it's for those reasons that you just mentioned. And so what are people doing in the workplace? And it's kind of scary, mental health, looking at that it's been taboo, to be honest. And yet it's the one thing that we need in the workplace is a really high functioning mental state so that we're working as a team for success. But if we're not paying attention to that, and that's where my work shifts, because I don't want to go down the path of mental illnesses. I go down the path of mental well-being, because at the core of who we are, we're not broken. There's nothing to fix. But there is something there to highlight and to strengthen and to bring out. So that resilient is in all of us already. Your business is resilient if the people that are working in the business is also resilient and they're figuring out the solutions, right? And not going down the rabbit hole of it's not working, or this person is not pulling their weight, or I've got too much on my plate. And so they stay in this thinking mode and they don't get into just staying in present moment, that one thing that's in front of you that you have to get done.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. And again, audience, you're going to get a chance later here towards the end of the show where you're going to be able to learn how to get in contact with Quinn. So these are some areas that we definitely want to make sure you're addressing for yourself, but also for even people that work for you or you're working with, because this is valuable information that can impact your business in so many different ways. What could be some of the things you can share with us that are important about, the human dimensions when it comes to business?
Well, I think as a leader, be grounded. That is number one. Go into the office feeling more of a state of ease. If you're in discomfort, that lower state of mind, that's okay too. And that's where I really want, the mindset, fixed mindset. It's okay if you're in fixed in that moment. Recognize it for what it is. But when we operate from that place and it goes into our behaviors where we're yelling at people, then that's not so cool, right? It's being able to go, yeah, I'm really off balance right now. And so let your wisdom guide you in what helps you get back on track. So it might be going outside for a walk before you have that staff meeting. It might be, making sure you get enough water into your system, make sure you have a good sleep the night before. So, we're not just our brains, we are holistic in so grounding is really important. And when I speak of grounding, it could be simple as going barefoot outside. It could be putting your palms together and breathing into that, and just centering yourself again. So there are techniques that works best for you. And so try them out. One day it might be one thing, tomorrow might be something else.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said, you got to, what might work for one might be slightly different for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that grounding piece is number one. Recognize where your state of mind is. I like to, in my home, we had the 1 to 10 mode, where are you today? If you're at a 2, then it's like, okay, what can I do to help you to move up the scale in your state of mind? And so sometimes that's a nice way of just making that sort of state of mind, mental health piece in the environment lighthearted. It's no big whoop, Yeah, I had a bad sleep last night. The kids kept me up last night, whatever. So just being able to make it something fun that could be in the office. So then it's bringing that lightheartedness to the office as well. Being curious about why somebody's not performing instead of making them wrong. It's like, geez, I'm noticing you've been showing up late today and what's been going on, or, so then you're getting more curious. And then the listening part, what I teach in my programs is more about a quiet listening, not about, content of information coming in, but the quiet listening is, what are they really getting at? What's really underneath what they're saying to me?
Could that be also nonverbal communication? Like could be body language, tone of voice, or are contradicting what they say?
Yeah, that would be all that information I'm taking in. And so this is what I'm noticing. And then you just kind of share that back. And so you're in that state of solution mode, right? It's not about the problem that you came in for because they're not showing up on time for the past week. It's like, I'm just been noticing. And so, what's been going on? How can I help? And as soon as we invite them in as a human being, instead of this, authority figure employee, we start to go like this as a human level of, let me help you out. And then, I'm noticing, and this is what I'm coming in where I'm struggling. So I did a lot of work in school systems and had a very chaotic classroom. kids were walking out, they're rolling on the floor. It was like, man, this poor teacher was having such a hard time. And so we just created a circle and we actually addressed it head on just by having a conversation and let's get curious. And it wasn't the teacher saying, this is what we have to do. This is what you need to, how you need to show up. It was like, what's the solution, kids? Let's brainstorm. And that brainstorming was so amazing that this grade 4 class was able to find a solution that worked beautifully for the rest of the year. So, I know that if we could do that in grade 4, we could do that in the workplace.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And we're always continuously learning. And what's great about learning is not just learning and it's applying what we learn, in this case, that we can now be the example of what we're learning to improve ourselves and then be resourceful to help the people around us do the same for themselves.
Yeah. And key point on that, because our workplace is so diverse in terms of the different people. We have people that are neurodivergent, so they operate completely different from neurotypical brains. And so just being able to figure out, okay, how do I best work with you that are coming in, that your brain works differently? How can I really help you thrive here? And so when we start to have those conversations of how can I help you thrive, then you're coming in as, wow, I'm going to love this boss, or I'm going to love this manager because they want me to thrive and I want to do that for them as well.
Love it. This is great stuff. Hope everybody is, again, we encourage everybody to watch the show in its entirety again on demand here later today. There's just a wealth of information. And again, shortly, you're going to be able to know how to get in contact with Quinn. That way you can do a one-on-one to find out more information in some of the areas that might help you on a personal or on a level with anybody on your team in your business. So as we, with this, in terms of what could be some of the results that organizations can see short-term, maybe intermediately, or even long-term when they really strategically adopt these human dimensions in business.
Yeah. There's a really nice feeling in the office. People are, it really is. I mean, people are laughing. There's a flow. They're solving problems a lot quicker. The stressful thinking is gone from 10 to 2. So there's a lot of things that shift, and people actually start to enjoy coming to work because there's a lightheartedness to the environment. Same issues, same things are going on, same amount of work that's on their plates, but they're showing up differently.
Wow. And that's key. Like we've always said here on Sustainable Success, if we're going to have more sustainable results, better results, we have to think differently to be it. Then to be it is what we become. What we become dictates how we do things differently, and how you do things differently means different types of results that you will have. So really aligns very well with what Quinn is sharing here with all of us here today. As we get towards the end of the show, Quinn, is there anything that you'd like, to connect the dots with the listeners and those listening later that can really, really solidify why, what you talked about today is so important and something that should be elevated on their list to the challenge that can be better for them to get the results they seek, and how what you're sharing plays a major role in making that happen?
Yeah, I know our workplaces are full of parents. So you want them to have a happy home so they can come to work and be happy at work as well. So mental health is a huge crisis in our society right now. And so the more you can implement something in the workplace, a wellness initiative, it really helps your staff not only perform better and show up more, they're going home and they're also creating an environment at home for their children to also thrive. Because as adults, we're always role modeling to the younger generation. Doesn't matter if they're 5 years old or even if they're 45 years old, we're always role modeling how to show up to life. And so the more we can enjoy our lives, get back to that centered place, then it's a ripple effect. And I just love that. So if your workplace is going to offer that to the staff so they can ripple that out and we can reduce that $6 trillion issue that's happening in the world, that would be amazing.
Agree 100%. Well, this was powerful information that you shared with us here today. I want to thank you personally, not only for myself, but the rest of the team here at Sustainable Success for taking time to share with us this valuable insight. I wanted to leave you like another minute in here where you can let the audience know what is the best way for them to get in contact with you. What are you up to, and anything that you'd like to provide them?
Yeah. So I just moved to a small town in British Columbia, just 5 hours out of Vancouver. And so I'm offering a 4-day reset for anybody who wants to come to a quiet small town, learn these principles that will help you bring back something unique to your workplace, and just decompress. Because I know when we're so busy and we're in life, it's really hard to start figuring out some of this understanding of how these principles actually work. So I would love to invite you to Penticton, BC to have a reset. Otherwise, I offer programs online, and so I do coaching online as well.
All right, great. And we'll make sure that all that information to get in contact with Quinn will be in the show notes that will be across all the different platforms where you can access the show. So make sure that we encourage you reach out, connect with Quinn, also on LinkedIn as well, and then all the information that will be in the show notes. Thank you, Quinn, for being with us here today.
Thanks, Chris. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Sustainable Success. Again, we are committed to bringing in subject matter experts like Quinn in each and every week to share their words of wisdom and insights to help elevate you and your business to the next level. So again, we highly encourage you to share this show with a colleague, a friend, a peer, someone you work for, customers, because they could always get something of value. And when you're giving value, you're also going to be able, that's going to reflect in what comes back to you. As we always say, give without expectation, receive without resistance. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you here next Friday, same time, 12 noon East Coast time. Take care and have a great day.